Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bonsais Forever. Today, yesterday, a couple of weeks ago, it's the season to be working on my cedars. It's something new this year that I'm doing all the heavy work in the fall. This one I've done work on several times this year, and every time I do some work on it, it just explodes with growth. And I'm really excited about that. I say I'm excited about everything. I don't know why I do that. Maybe I'm excited about a lot of stuff. I really like working with bonsai. So anyway, this is cedars. This is some gum trees that I've been working on in this planting. They just started growing in here. Not something that I put in here, but I like it, so I left them. I'm gonna grow them out. They'll get roughly the size of the cedars as they develop. I've got some grasses down here that I'm gonna have to cut back. I really like these grasses, but obviously they're way too tall. And this guy right here, this is a Juniperus chinensis. I'm gonna keep this guy relatively small. I think maybe a little bit taller than it is now, but I'm going to turn it into like a what am I thinking? Something that you would find like in your front yard, kind of have like the flat top where it kind of grows out, you know, flat topped both directions, has a couple of branches down here, some stuff back here. You know, like a couple of different levels of flat branches. Actually, check this out. This, talking about exploding in growth, I've got like a whole pad of roots up underneath of the pot here. Last time I worked on this, I redid the pot. I used the same pot. I made this out of hot glue, and I basically repaired it because the bottom was damaged. Had a couple of cracks in it, so I redid it, and it's holding up really nicely. All right. So this planting is actually pretty cool. I really like this rock. Something I found probably at the creek in Colorado. I'm gonna pull the weeds out. They're not to scale. Clean out the leaves that have dropped in here. All right. So what I want to do is I want to reshape all of these trees, get them back into a flow. We're actually looking really good. This one is just growing wild and crazy. It's got a lot of new growth on it, putting out a lot of long shoots. Stuff is starting to grow straight up. I want to keep it from growing really thick branches straight up. Yeah, this is a cool tree. So there's three main trees, the cedars, there's three of them. And then these sweet gums are looking really good. They actually have got some sort of ramification. This one not so much yet. Just kind of a top, couple of leaves, but this one's got some branching started. So that's pretty cool. This one will branch next year, I'm sure. And then the little juniper, it's doing really good. It's got a lot of new growth on it. This one I'll probably just let grow for now. I'm gonna let these branches grow out so that I can make the flat top on it, and I will let the lower branches here grow as well so they can make their section of the tree. But yeah, it's doing really good. I'm just kind of messing with it to see what the branch structure looks like, and it's looking pretty good. All right, so my goal for this planting is to reduce some of the branches on the cedar trees, get them back into order, take off anything that's not doing well. Any of the tiny little branches like these that aren't going to help with the tree. And then we will see what it looks like. Alright, so I'm gonna get my scissors in here. I'm gonna come down to the bottom part of the tree first. And I'm gonna take off the vigorous growth right at the ends of each branch. I'm gonna take that all off. I'm not wiring anything on this tree just yet. So the branches growing straight up and down, I'm not worrying about those just yet, because eventually I'm going to wire this branch to where the up and down growth is going to go horizontal, and then we'll take off the other stuff that is actually growing up and down at that point. So right now I'm just trying to make sure that all the branches are healthy. And also all the branches are needed. Anything that's not needed, I'm going to take off. I'm thinking that these lower branches, I might just take these off. Now I'm thinking that I want to leave them on there to thicken the trunk. I'm going to leave them to thicken the trunk. So I'm not going to trim these at all. We'll cut those off later. So this will be the first branch right here. So I do want to make it to where the branch looks like this. So all of this right here, that needs to come off because that's too much. So now I can wire this. I'm going to wire it next year. I'm not going to wire it this year. I'll probably wire this next year like that. So some of this, the ends of these can come off as well. I don't need it to be that large of foliage at the end here. And this piece is going to be going straight up. So we'll take that off. Just like that. And right now, basically what I'm doing is just reducing for the health of the tree. Cutting stuff back to promote the foliage to get a thicker pad. And by trimming it back, it helps to do that. And I've said in previous videos, when you're working with a cedar, if there's a possibility that you don't want this growth, to save this growth so that you can cut it back to here, and that's what we're going to do. I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna cut this back, not all the way, but back to here, because if you notice, this is a cut point. So last time I trimmed it, all of this is new growth from the last time I trimmed this. So I'm going to take that off, because eventually this bit right here will be part of this pad. One of these eventually will have to come out of here, but we'll see how this grows first. Then there's another cut point right here, and then that's the new growth. So we'll cut it back to here, which leaves this branch and this branch. And then this piece here is not going to back bud or do anything good for the tree at all. So we're going to take that off. Just like that. And these are not going to do any good for the tree back in here either. This might eventually, but taking those off because the inside of the branch is going to be bare anyway, out to the pad. Alright, and then we're going to go to this branch. And it's going to be sitting probably close to this. It's got some decent movement on it already. We'll give it a little bit more movement later on. But I'm going to trim it back to here. And I am going to take this piece off. Well, no, I'm going to leave that, because I could probably wire that out later. On the cedars, as far as I've noticed, I'm pretty sure that the branches, they stack on top of each other as they're going up. Well, obviously how they are, but they pad and then they'll pad. But all the pads are relatively the same distance from the trunk. They don't have like a pine tree, how it's way out here and then it grows in and it's smaller up here. They have pretty decent sized pads at the top of the tree too. So I'm not going to cut back too far to try and make like a triangular shape or a pyramid shape or however you want to call it. I'm going to cut it back just to make each pad healthy. And I'm taking off just unhealthy foliage right now. This tree's been growing really nicely. I'm not 100% sure if this was the largest tree of the bunch in the beginning or not. Sure is now. So we're over to this larger branch over here. Now one thing you got to be careful with the cedars, they will grow faster at the top. So if you want the bottom to get thicker and bigger branches, you're going to have to let those run a little bit more and cut these way back. So we're going to cut off quite a bit of the foliage on these upper branches to reduce the vigor a little bit in them so that the bottom of the tree can catch up. So this branch is looking really nice. I'm really liking it. It's got some good shape to it. I like how it goes 1 to 2, bifurcates right here, really close to the trunk. I really like that because then I can do two separate pads that meet up. So that means that this comes out. These pieces on the back will come off. Yeah, just like that. Let's try and trim some of these back too. Alright, now let's go to this branch up here. I will probably bend it to where it goes like this. I might be able to use... No, I won't be able to use that later, so I'm going to take that off. This one's going to be on the bottom. That one's going to be on the curve. Alright, I'm going to pinch the tips. Okay, that one looks good. So this guy right here, I'm not going to use these pieces. This one I'll probably keep. I'll take this one out. That one out. Now at some point I'm going to want to flatten these out so that they can make the apex of the trees, because I think I'm going to try and keep it this height. Eventually, obviously, everything will grow taller, but I can keep this the top of the tree instead of letting these grow farther and growing more branches and more branches. So these trees aren't as complicated as I've made them sound before, but yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, stand back a little bit. It's a good looking tree. Alright, so then we're going to go to the next tree over. This will be this guy here. Alright, so I'm going to go back down here to the lower branches. I've got this really long branch. I think I might let this run for a little while and thicken up down here to be the first branch. I'm going to take off the one above it. And it's got some growth here on the side. The base of it too, which I think I'm going to leave that. Alright, that's pretty thick. It's a good branch. I'm going to trim this way back because it's already thick enough. So now I want it to start forming a pad back in here. So I'm going to cut all these back. And I'm going to take this bottom one off because eventually I'll bend this down like that. I'm going to leave this growth for now. This little piece inside here. Alright, so now I'm going to skip this branch over here for now. I'll spin the tree back around to the other side. I've got this branch growing out the side here, and I don't want it to grow into this tree. So I kind of want it to grow in and then back out. So I'm going to cut off these pieces on this side so that I can develop this part of the branch. Over to this side now, and this piece here is the crotch growth, and I like it a lot better than the first branch, so I'm taking that off. So that looks terrible, and the other branch is really nice, full. So I'm going to take off the last two branches on this side of this tree so that I can develop those two branches to be the pad. I'm going to take this off. Alright. So now we're up in here. I've got all this really fine growth. I've got a new branch starting. I'm going to let that develop. So I'm going to trim this back to make that develop faster. I want to leave some foliage on here. Otherwise it will cause problems. So I hope you guys can see how much I left on here. So that's how much I left on the branch. And then above it I've got some new growth here that I think I might leave this to grow. I've got this twiggy branch on the back side I'm taking off now, and I want to reduce this. So we've got this part that hangs down right here, and I've got this part that goes straight up here, and this looks a lot better than this, so I'll bend this down into this section, but I'm going to take that off. It doesn't look good at all, and I can just bend this down into this section, and by doing that I don't need this bottom piece either, and that reduces the vigor at the top of the tree so that I don't get too much growth up here before I get growth down at the bottom. But this one seems to be doing being a little bit more even in its growth, so that's nice. Because I've got the thicker branches down at the bottom, and there are still smaller branches up here. Like this one's got a couple of larger branches up at the top and a couple of smaller branches at the bottom. Alright, so then I've got this really crazy branch out here. It's got all of this growth on it. It's got all of this growth on it. And it's growing right into this tree. So this branch right here, cutting it right here, and I'm taking the foliage off. And it will be a dead branch in the middle of the tree right there. Alright, so now we're to this branch. And I think I'm going to take this whole piece off too. I'm going to take the whole thing off. Gives me some space in between the two trees. Looks a little bit more natural that way. Alright, so now that I've got this tree not impeding this tree, I'm hoping that this tree starts growing a little bit better, because you can see it's got like no new growth on it, very little new growth, and it's got a lot of brown needles. So I'm hoping that by moving some of that, we're going to be able to get this tree to grow better, because I'm not going to take anything off that tree. It just doesn't look good yet. The other two trees are growing really nicely, thickening up great, and this plant is really exciting. Very nice. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and chop the grass back, and I'm going to save the seeds from it, because I want to grow them on a different planting. That's looking good. Okay, so this is looking good now. Really liking it. Really liking it. It looks like it's back into bonsai shape. Alright, y'all, so I got it all squared away here. I'll bring the light back up so you guys can see the tree instead of the bright light. Yeah, so it's looking good. It's looking really good. So I'm really liking the red leaves on here too. This is pretty awesome. Fall has never really been something that I looked forward to, because fall means winter's coming. Really, when I was a kid, I guess I kind of looked forward to it. But as an adult, it's just, I don't know, it's just cold, and trees die in the wintertime sometimes if they're not protected properly, and I don't know, just a lot of crazy things. So I guess I just never really looked forward to the winter, but I do like the fall colors of the trees. I think it's really pretty. I think it's really pretty when they start changing, you know, like reds and yellows and stuff like that. Alright, but it looks like I'm done with this tree. I'm just kind of sitting here admiring it with you guys, because I don't know, I just really like looking at my trees and plantings and stuff. It's why I do bonsai. I mean, like the reason I do it is so that I can look at my trees and admire them. All the other stuff is just beneficial. Alright, so I'll let you guys go. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate all y'all's support, and I'll see you on the next one.